Have you ever felt like your life is spinning out of control? Like everything is moving too fast, and no matter what you do, you can't seem to catch your breath? The worries, the anxieties, the stress, they all keep piling up. You want to take control, but it feels impossible. Now imagine being in the position of Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire. He had to deal with immense responsibilities every day. Leading armies into battle, maintaining peace in a vast empire, managing political conflicts, and more. Despite all of this, despite the chaos surrounding him, Marcus Aurelius remained calm, clear-headed, and in control of his mind. How did he do it? The secret lies in Stoicism, a philosophy that Marcus Aurelius and other great thinkers like Seneca and Epictetus followed. The core of Stoicism is this: while we cannot control the world outside of us, we can always control how we respond to it. You may not be able to control what happens to you, but you can control your mind, your thoughts, and your reactions. This video will take you on a journey through the teachings of Stoicism, showing you how to master your mind and find inner peace, no matter what challenges you face. From the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, we'll discover the tools you need to live with tranquility, strength, and purpose. Think about the challenges you're facing in your life right now. Are you in control of them, or are they in control of you? If you're ready to learn how to control your mind like Marcus Aurelius, like Seneca, and like Epictetus, then hit the subscribe button and join us on this journey to mastering your mind with Stoicism. This is the first step towards unlocking the power within you. Principle 1. Let go of what others think and focus on yourself. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with the opinions of others. Whether it's on social media, in the workplace, or even among friends and family, it seems like everyone has something to say about how we should live our lives. From how we dress to the decisions we make, people have opinions. And often we find ourselves trying to please them. We crave validation, approval, and acceptance, but this can lead to losing sight of who we really are. Marcus Aurelius, in his writings, expressed a profound insight. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Think about that for a moment. We value our own lives, our own experiences, more than anyone else's, but we allow the opinions of others to dictate how we feel, how we act, and how we live. It's a paradox that many of us struggle with. But Stoicism teaches us something different. The only thing that truly matters is how we view ourselves and how we align our actions with our values. What other people think is beyond our control. It's not something we can change, and therefore, it's not something we should spend time worrying about. Marcus Aurelius lived this philosophy every day. As emperor, he was constantly subjected to criticism from all sides, from his military commanders, from his political advisors, and from the citizens of Rome. But instead of letting their judgments cloud his decisions, Marcus focused on what he could control: his thoughts, his actions, and his principles. He understood that while people could express their opinions, it was up to him whether or not to let those opinions affect his peace of mind. Imagine a young artist who is passionate about his work. He pours his heart and soul into every painting he creates. But each time he finishes a piece, a fear sets in. Will people like it? Will they criticize it? What if no one appreciates my work? He spends hours second-guessing himself, afraid of how others will judge him. His creativity becomes stifled, and he feels trapped by the opinions of others. Now let's say this artist discovers the teachings of Stoicism and learns what Marcus Aurelius has to say about focusing on what's within your control. Slowly, he begins to shift his focus away from the opinions of others and toward his own internal sense of satisfaction. He realizes that the value of his work isn't determined by external validation, but by the joy and fulfillment it brings him personally. He starts painting freely, without the weight of other people's judgments holding him back. And ironically, when he stops worrying about what others think, his work becomes even more powerful and appreciated than before. This shift in mindset is exactly what Stoicism encourages. It's about turning inward and recognizing that your worth comes from within, not from what others think of you. So how can you start applying this in your life? One simple exercise is this. The next time you find yourself worrying about what someone else thinks, whether it's about your appearance, your decisions, or your work, pause and ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, let it go. Remind yourself that the only thing you can control is how you view yourself. Focus on living according to your values, not someone else's expectations. Have you ever found yourself worrying about what others think? Have you ever changed your decisions because you feared being judged? If so, share your experience in the comments below. Remember, we can only control our thoughts and actions, and that's where our real power lies. Principle 2. Building emotional resilience. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." This insight forms the foundation of Stoic philosophy on emotional resilience. Life is full of challenges, and the Stoics teach us that these challenges are not to be feared but embraced. It is through hardship that we grow stronger. Think about it. In life, we are constantly faced with difficulties. We lose loved ones, we fail in our careers, we face personal crises. These challenges are inevitable. But what matters is not the adversity itself, but how we choose to respond to it. Stoicism teaches that every obstacle we face is an opportunity for growth, a chance to build emotional strength. Seneca lived by this philosophy. Throughout his life, he endured exile, political intrigue, and threats from the very people he served. Yet, instead of allowing these challenges to break him, he used them to cultivate resilience. In his letters to Lucilius, Seneca often emphasized that adversity is not something to be avoided or resented, but rather a tool for personal development. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the Stoic asks, "What can I learn from this?" Now, let's bring this into the modern world. Imagine someone who has just lost their job, a situation that is both stressful and disheartening. Initially, their reaction might be one of panic, disappointment, and fear for the future. This is a natural response, right? But if they were to apply Stoic principles, they would begin to see this loss not as a devastating blow, but as an opportunity. Maybe it's an opportunity to develop new skills, pursue a different career path, or even start their own business. By reframing the situation, they can shift from feeling helpless to feeling empowered. This is what Stoicism teaches us about emotional resilience. It's not about suppressing emotions or pretending that bad things don't happen. Instead, it's about recognizing that we have the power to control how we interpret and react to life's events. By doing so, we become stronger, more adaptable, and more capable of facing whatever comes our way. So how do you build emotional resilience in your own life? Start by changing the way you think about hardship. The next time you face a difficult situation, instead of immediately reacting with frustration or sadness, take a step back and ask yourself, "What can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger?" By shifting your perspective, you'll begin to see challenges not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones to personal growth. Have you ever gone through a tough time that ultimately made you stronger? How did you grow from it? Share your story in the comments below, and let's learn from each other's experiences. Remember, it's not the adversity itself that defines us, but how we choose to respond to it. Principle 3. The power of perception. One of the most powerful lessons in Stoic philosophy comes from Epictetus, who taught us that people are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them. What does this mean? It means that the events that happen to us, the challenges we face, are neutral. They are neither good nor bad on their own. It's our perception, the way we choose to interpret those events, that creates our emotions, whether that's anger, frustration, sadness, or peace. Let's take a moment to really reflect on this idea. Think about a time when something happened that upset you. Was it the event itself that caused your distress, or was it your interpretation of that event? Epictetus teaches us that it's not the events themselves that have the power to upset us. It's our judgments about them. This means that if we can learn to change our perception, we can change how we feel and ultimately how we live. Epictetus was born into slavery. For much of his early life, he had no control over his circumstances. He couldn't choose where he lived, what he ate, or what he did each day. But despite the physical limitations imposed on him, Epictetus discovered something profound. While he couldn't control the external world, he could always control his mind. He could control how he chose to perceive the world around him. Instead of focusing on what he lacked or resenting his situation, Epictetus turned inward. He realized that true freedom didn't come from changing his external circumstances, but from mastering his mind. And this is the essence of Stoicism, the recognition that while we may not be able to control what happens to us, we always have the power to control how we perceive it. Marcus Aurelius, too, understood the power of perception. As Emperor of Rome, he faced constant threats, from wars, political unrest, and even natural disasters. Yet, in the midst of all this turmoil, Marcus remained calm. He wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Marcus knew that no matter how chaotic the world around him became, his inner peace was something no one could take from him unless he allowed it. By mastering his perception, he was able to navigate the challenges of his life with clarity and strength. Now, let's bring this lesson into the modern world. Imagine you've just given an important presentation at work, and it didn't go as planned. Maybe you stumbled over your words, or the audience didn't seem engaged. Your immediate reaction might be to feel embarrassed or defeated. You might start telling yourself, "I failed. I'm not good at this. I'll never be successful." But here's where Stoicism can help. Instead of viewing the presentation as a failure, you can choose to see it as a learning experience. Ask yourself, what can I do better next time? How can I use this experience to improve? By changing your perception, you change your emotional response. Instead of feeling defeated, you feel empowered to grow. To practice the power of perception, start by becoming more aware of your thoughts. The next time something happens that upsets you, pause and ask yourself, is it the event itself that's upsetting me, or is it my interpretation of the event? Challenge yourself to see the situation from a different perspective, one that empowers you rather than brings you down. Over time, this practice will help you build a stronger, more resilient mindset. Have you ever experienced a situation where changing your perception made all the difference? How did it change the way you felt? Share your story with us in the comments, and let's learn from each other's experiences. Remember, the way we choose to perceive the world can change everything. Principe 4. Living in accordance with nature. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Life is nothing but change, and to be in harmony with nature means to accept it." One of the core teachings of Stoicism is the idea of living in accordance with nature. But what does that really mean? It means understanding that change is a fundamental part of life. Nothing stays the same forever, not our relationships, not our careers, not our possessions. And the sooner we accept this, the more peace we will find. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves resisting change? Whether it's the end of a relationship, the loss of a job, or simply the passage of time, we often struggle to let go. We cling to the idea that things should stay the way they are, and when they don't, we feel frustrated, anxious, or even devastated. But Stoicism teaches us that this resistance to change is futile. Everything in life is impermanent, and trying to hold on to things that are constantly evolving only leads to suffering. Instead, we must learn to embrace change as a natural part of life and to live in harmony with it. As emperor, Marcus Aurelius was acutely aware of the impermanence of all things. During his reign, the Roman Empire faced numerous challenges, wars, plagues, and political upheaval. Marcus knew that the empire he ruled would not last forever. He understood that, like everything else in nature, Rome was subject to change, decay, and eventual decline. Yet rather than resisting this reality, Marcus accepted it. He wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make of it." For Marcus, living in accordance with nature meant accepting that even the greatest empires rise and fall, and that we must focus on what we can control in the present moment. Now let's look at a more modern example. Imagine you're going through a major life transition. Maybe you're moving to a new city, starting a new job, or ending a long-term relationship. These changes can be difficult and unsettling. It's natural to feel a sense of loss or uncertainty. But if you adopt a Stoic mindset, you can begin to see these changes as opportunities for growth. Instead of resisting the transition, embrace it. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can this change help me grow? Living in accordance with nature doesn't mean giving up on your dreams or goals. It simply means recognizing that life is constantly evolving, and the more you align yourself with this natural flow, the more peace and fulfillment you will find. The next time you find yourself facing a major change or transition, take a moment to reflect on the Stoic principle of living in accordance with nature. Remind yourself that change is a natural part of life, and resisting it will only lead to frustration. Instead, focus on how you can adapt to the change and use it as an opportunity for growth. Have you ever gone through a major life change that was difficult to accept? How did you eventually come to terms with it? Share your story with us in the comments, and let's support each other in embracing life's natural flow of change. Principle 5. Practicing self-discipline. Seneca once wrote, "A person's worth is measured by the nobility of their ambitions and the strength of their self-discipline." Self-discipline is one of the cornerstones of Stoicism. It's not just about saying no to distractions or temptations. It's about committing to your values and your goals, even when the path is difficult. It's about choosing what is right over what is easy. In today's world, we are surrounded by distractions, from social media to endless entertainment options, from the allure of instant gratification to the temptation of taking the easy way out. It can be incredibly difficult to stay focused on what truly matters. But Stoicism teaches us that self-discipline is not about denying ourselves pleasure. It's about making conscious choices that align with our long-term goals and values. Seneca, despite his position as a philosopher and statesman, lived a life of discipline. He knew that in order to maintain his integrity and achieve his goals, he had to practice self-control on a daily basis. In one of his letters to Lucilius, he wrote, "No great thing is created suddenly. It takes time, effort, and discipline." Seneca understood that without discipline, even the most ambitious goals would remain out of reach. Let's take a modern example. Imagine you've set a goal to improve your health. Maybe you want to exercise more regularly or eat a healthier diet. In the beginning, you feel motivated and excited about the changes you're making. But after a few days, the temptations start to creep in. Maybe you skip a workout because you're tired, or you indulge in an unhealthy meal because it's easier than cooking at home. This is where self-discipline comes into play. It's easy to give in to short-term pleasures, but Stoicism teaches us to think long-term. What is more important to you, the immediate satisfaction of giving in to temptation, or the long-term fulfillment of achieving your goals? To start building self-discipline in your life, begin by setting small, manageable goals each day. It could be as simple as reading for 30 minutes before bed instead of scrolling through your phone, or waking up early to meditate before your busy day starts. Each time you choose discipline over distraction, you are strengthening your ability to control your mind and your actions. Over time, these small acts of discipline will add up, and you'll find yourself better equipped to handle larger challenges. What are some areas of your life where you've struggled with discipline? How did you overcome those challenges? Share your experiences with us in the comments below, and let's help each other build stronger habits of discipline in pursuit of our goals. Principle 6. Embracing the present moment. We see Marcus Aurelius sitting in his military tent, surrounded by soldiers and military leaders preparing for battle. Despite the hustle and bustle around him, Marcus sits calmly, writing in his meditations. His focus is entirely on the present moment, and the chaos of the outside world seems far away as he immerses himself in his reflections. In today's fast-paced world, how often do we find ourselves lost in thoughts about the past or anxieties about the future? We worry about what we've done wrong, or we stress about what's going to happen next. But Stoicism teaches us that the only time we truly own is the present moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not let the panorama of your life overwhelm you. Focus on the present moment and what you can do to improve it." Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the future or forgetting the past. It means recognizing that the past is gone and the future has not yet arrived. The only time we can act, the only time we can truly live, is right now. As the leader of the Roman Empire, Marcus Aurelius was constantly dealing with enormous responsibilities, managing wars, maintaining peace, making political decisions that could impact the entire empire. It would have been easy for him to get lost in the pressures of the future or to dwell on past mistakes. But instead, Marcus focused on the present moment. He wrote that we should not waste time worrying about what has already happened or what might happen, but instead focus on the task at hand. This mindset allowed Marcus to remain calm, focused, and effective, even in the most challenging situations. Let's apply this lesson to modern life. Imagine you're at home after a long day at work, sitting with your family or friends. But instead of being fully present, your mind is elsewhere. You're thinking about the deadline you have at work tomorrow, or you're replaying a conversation you had earlier in the day. As a result, you miss out on the precious moments happening right in front of you. This is something many of us do without even realizing it. We allow our thoughts to pull us away from the present, and we lose the opportunity to truly engage with the world around us. Stoicism reminds us that the present moment is all we really have. When we focus on the now, we reduce stress, anxiety, and unnecessary worry. We become more attuned to the beauty of life and more capable of handling whatever comes our way. To practice embracing the present moment, try incorporating mindfulness into your daily routine. When you find yourself worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, take a deep breath and bring your attention back to the present. Notice the sights, sounds, and sensations around you. Focus on the task you're doing right now, whether it's eating a meal, having a conversation, or simply sitting quietly. By training your mind to stay in the present, you'll begin to experience a greater sense of peace and fulfillment. Do you ever find yourself lost in thoughts about the past or future, even when you're with loved ones? How do you bring yourself back to the present moment? Share your tips with us in the comments, and let's learn from each other's experiences. Principle 7. Building and joining a like-minded community. Marcus Aurelius believed deeply in the importance of community. He once wrote, "Man is not made for himself alone, but for the good of the community." Stoicism teaches us that while personal growth is essential, we cannot fully develop in isolation. We need others. We need to share, to learn, and to grow together. A strong community can provide the support, motivation, and inspiration needed to stay on the path of personal growth. Throughout history, great Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus emphasized the value of building and being part of a like-minded community. It is through community that we can hold ourselves accountable, gain new insights, and find encouragement when times are tough. As emperor, Marcus Aurelius didn't just lead his army to victory on the battlefield. He also fostered a sense of community and shared purpose among his soldiers. He knew that a strong, united community could overcome even the greatest challenges. By teaching his soldiers the principles of Stoicism, resilience, discipline, and mutual support, Marcus built an army that was not only strong in body, but also strong in mind and spirit. In the modern world, being part of a like-minded community can have tremendous benefits. Whether it's a book club, a support group, or an online forum, finding a group of people who share your values and goals can give you the motivation you need to stay focused on your personal development. Imagine you're trying to practice Stoicism in your daily life. By joining a community of fellow Stoics, you can share your experiences, learn from others, and receive support when you encounter challenges. This sense of belonging can be incredibly powerful, helping you stay committed to your growth while also contributing to the growth of others. If you haven't already found a community that supports your personal growth, start looking for one. It could be a local discussion group on Stoicism, a personal development club, or even an online community. The important thing is to find a space where you can share, learn, and grow together with others who are on a similar journey. Have you ever been part of a community that helped you grow as a person? What impact did it have on your life? Share your experiences in the comments, and let's work together to build a strong, supportive community of Stoics. We've explored the profound lessons of Stoicism together, from mastering your mind, building emotional resilience, embracing the present moment, and living in accordance with nature. But perhaps the most important lesson Stoicism teaches us is that everything begins within. It's not about controlling the world outside of us. It's about controlling our own minds, thoughts, and actions. The journey to mastering your mind doesn't happen overnight. It requires daily practice, patience, and perseverance. But if you start by taking small steps, changing your perception of challenges, living fully in the present, and seeking support from a like-minded community, you'll gradually build a life of meaning, purpose, and peace, just like the Stoic philosophers did. If you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe button and join our community of Stoics. Share this video with friends who might also benefit from these timeless teachings. And don't forget to leave a comment with the Stoic principles you're practicing in your own life. Together, we'll build a resilient, self-disciplined, and fulfilling life.